you get caught on that ladder, let me tell you what it's all about. Find you a few things that matter, that you can put a fence around. And then he laid it out. Buy dirt, find the one you can't live without. Get a ring, let your knee hit the ground. Do what you love but call it work, and throw a little money in the plate at church. Send your prayers up and your roots down deep, and add a few limbs to your family tree. And watch their pencil marks in the grass in the yard all grow up. Cause the truth about it is, it all goes by real quick. You can't buy happy.
Hi, I'm Sherry Mitchell. I'm the founder and co-owner of Mitchell Wool Company that I own with my son and work with the majority of my family. I'm coming to you tonight from the barn. It's 9 p.m. and Glacier needs his bottle feed. He's one of our bottle babies, and most of our bottle babies have graduated to the bottle bucket, which I'll show you in just a moment, but Glacier hasn't quite gotten there yet. So he needs a little extra one-on-one attention, and that's something that we start at 5 a.m. doing. We check on them throughout the day, and then of course it's 9 p.m., so we're doing it now. Thanks for joining us at Mitchell Wool Company on the Vogue Knitting Live special feature. It's a very exciting and very, very busy time of year for us, as March is when all of our lambs are born. We had 39 of them this year. We're at a part with the flock that we don't really want to increase the numbers of the flock that we have. We're really pleased with those, so we just kind of maintain every year and breed the moms who have the best fiber quality and the best mothering ability, as well as genetics, disease resistance, and so forth, to maintain a healthy size of our flock as those who start to age out of production. Hey, sweet guy. This year's name is National Parks. So this is Glacier, and we have many different things. Glacier is a Targhee Ram lamb. We have three main breeds here on the Mitchell Wool family farm. Targhees are the largest of our sheep. They're a fine wool sheep, and they're named for the Targhee National Forest. So it's quite fitting that we chose those names this year. But we absolutely love Targhees. They have fantastic personalities. The moms are great at rearing their young, with the exception of little Glaciers, whose mom was a first-time mom and decided it wasn't for her. So that's kind of how we end up with bottle babies sometimes. Hi, I'm back. The lambs are all tucked in for the night. I wanted to take a minute and show you our yarn production. We do everything ourselves with the exception of the spinning and the scouring being the washing. The spinning is done in the Midwest, and then it comes to us on cones where we skein it, winding it into hanks. Then we wash it, we get the mill oils off of it, we mordant it to prepare for dye, and then we dye it with plants, twist it into yarn. I wish it was all as quick as it said, but let me show you a bit of what that looks like around. This is our wool shop. You see here our fulfillment center. This is our inventory management system that we pick from to get orders ready to go. Our labeling system, all of this is done by hand. Our bags are shipped in compostable bags because we try to use as little plastic as absolutely possible. And we have a lot going on here. Our Juki sewing machine, we sew bags right here on the farm. But you can see Anne Marie is a local neighbor who works with us, and she does all of the skeining. So when the yarn comes to us from the mill, it looks like this on a cone. This looks like it could be DK Rambouillet because it's very soft looking. We have a Belfast 12 skein winder. This really helps us crank out the about 40,000 skeins of yarn that we produce each year. These are some skeins that have been washed and are getting ready to be mordanted for yarn prep. You see over here our Penelope bags that the local yarn shops sell, and the Cindy Clutch, which is a wonderful on-the-go color work design pouch that's more of our American sourced waxed cotton. Of course, we have a pack and play for whatever baby needs attention that day. And Christine, our sewist, has a bunch of Penelope bags lined up, ready to go. The bodies of them are sewn at a Midwest nonprofit, and then we put on the handles and all of the finishing parts here. The Sherry sweater bag, which is the larger version of this that we sell, is sewn here from beginning to end right here on the farm. This is our mordanting center. That is where the skeins go in. They're having a rest there. Our dye kitchen, where Cindy and Becca keep all of their dye concentrates and plant matter. Of course, our gigantic year planning area. These are the dye pots in which we plant dye our yarns using a combination of marigolds that we grow on the farm and dye concentrates as well. It looks like Becca was working on Himalayan rhubarb today. You can see it's kind of a dark color. These are skeins. This is a brand new color that you're getting a glimpse of. That's called Maple. It'll debut at H&H, which is the yarn shop wholesale show that is happening in the beginning of May. And a brand new offering for us, indigo. Cindy has perfected a method along with Demetrio, her dye master, that indigo will not crock. So that's a very exciting thing for us. We have our wash sinks, and what's really exciting is we're on a septic system. Our water is so safe that it can actually be returned right back into the soil. So it's largely a closed loop system because we are on well water, and both our yarn production shop as well as the barns at the front of the building and the lambing barn are all powered by solar. In the back there is our dehydration tent where we remove the humidity from the yarn. More Penelope bags that have just come in. This is our shipping fulfillment center. When you place your online orders, they are packed, pulled, and shipped from there. And the most exciting thing, the shop. So to show you some of the things that we offer, I'm going to put the camera on a tripod and take you on a closer tour. But we have a wonderful supply of books. I'll get into all of these on detail. Kits. Some of my absolute favorite yarn is our Tarhi sock with silk. We carry a few shades of Spin Cycle that partner, or I'm sorry, in a collaboration for a sweater that we have that's a size inclusive design called Currents. It's designed by Crystal Hyatt of Factory Girl Designs. Of course, our organic American made cotton t-shirts with our witty sayings that you know us for. Here's one of our Sherry sweater bags. Tools are made here on the farm. We have a industrial laser, and the designs are all of my artwork. My background is interior design and advertising, so I'm putting that graphic design to use. I'll get into this in greater detail later. And of course, the yarn. There are a few skeins left of our Shepherd's Watch alpaca and Rambouillet blend that it was so soft. That's in a DK weight, very popular. We have our BFL worsted, as you can see, that takes the colors very brightly. Our Cormo DK. The Cormos are raised on our own farm. So some things are with partner farms, some things are our own. We have these beautiful blankets made from our wool that was spun at McCausland's in Prince Edward Island. It's a family-owned company, and these are very, very soft because they're made of our 18 micron Rambouillet, a really nice generous throw size too. They're 52 by 76. For the non-makers in the group, or those who like to knit but not socks, we have American-made in Minnesota wool socks, and they are so comfy. They come in 9 to 11 and 10 to 14, and they are quite generously sized. We have them both in crew and in boot. American Fiber, that's our partner yarn. This is all Rambouillet. And we have DK worsted fingering and sock. So let me flip the camera around and we'll get into greater detail of each item. I'm coming to you in my Carhartts because I was just out in the barn feeding lambs for their bedtime feed before we send them off. If you're wondering about my sweater, it is the beautiful Paulina pullover by, I think it's Teddy Lutzak. It is knit in our Farm Friends DK along with Farm Friends that was dyed using marigolds that we grow on the farm. The color is called Pickle. I do have to confess that we're sold out of Pickle, so unfortunately we can't offer that to you, and that's why I finally get to wear the sweater. It's no longer a sample. We have many books in our shop that we curate based on things that really align with our values. Of course, we're very excited about Lindsay Fowler's new book, Trails and Valleys, which is published by Lina. We have a pattern in the book that uses our yarn, and that is a huge honor for us. It's a project we've been working on with Lindsay for a couple of years. Our project is the Mountaineering Cowl, and we sell kits. The kits include 3 skeins of our Cormo Aran yarn. This is a pattern that can be done in both Aran and in worsted weights. We have pre-made kits that include some fun camping doodads too, which is the theme of the book, is knits for family adventures. So we have the Trails and Valleys book. We have Cindy clutches that are specific to that theme with our camping fabric, and we have kits to make the cowl. I want to talk a little bit about Vanishing Fleece because it's kind of the reason that we're here. When I learned to knit in 2018, and it was a really very fast, I wouldn't even call it a slope, it's more that I ran and jumped off the deep end. When I go into a project, I go all in, and the reason that I took up knitting was because at the time I really wanted to exit fast fashion, and I was sewing all my own clothes. But we lived in 2 states at the time, and I was spending a lot of time on an airplane. So I was looking for a craft that I could do while at our other home and on an airplane, and I picked up Vanishing Fleece when it came out by Clara Parks, and it really struck a chord with me. Reason being is I knew exactly what she was talking about with the decline of American wool production and the mills, because I had been an interior designer as my first career, and I owned and ran my business in the early 2000s, and that was at a time, it was the late 90s, early 2000s, and that was at a time when so many of our American textile mills, largely focused in North Carolina, carpet mills in Georgia, and furniture production in both North Carolina and Georgia, and they were closing by the droves to send the production overseas, where environmental standards were lower, labor was significantly cheaper than the American worker, and we lost all of those companies. So it went from being able to call your local mill for the fabric that you needed as a designer to 800 numbers and overseas production, and really just a loss of that connection between the producer and the end user. So when I read Vanishing Fleece, it struck a nerve, and one of the mills that she talked about was only 40 miles from our farm. So of course, what's a knitter to do? Get sheep, support the local mill. It's just, in my brain, what made sense. And it started with 3 sheep that I conned my son Luke into keeping at his farm up the road. And I said, if you keep those 3 sheep, that's just enough for a sweater for me and a sweater for you, and I will knit you a sweater. And I started it in 2019 with the fleece of those first 3. And it's now about 10 inches long. I honestly don't think I'm ever going to finish it, because the irony is that we have all these sheep and our hands are in wool all day, every day, almost 24/7. But there's not a lot of energy left for knitting because the flock comes first. So we sell copies of this. It comes with a fair warning that if you buy it, we can easily sell you a starter flock of sheep. It's a win-win. Another one that's really popular for us, especially as we were choosing the breeds that we wanted to carry here on the farm, is the Field Guide to Fleece. And if you're a spinner, you may already have that, and if you don't, it's something you definitely want to get your hands on. But it discusses the qualities of each breed and the fleece that they produce and the climates that they're most conducive to living in. It was a great resource for us, and it's the reason that we ended up adding Cormo and Tarhi as the primary sheep on our farm. And the reason being is they are both American breeds. Tarhi is named for the Tarhi National Forest. They are a very large sheep, and honestly some of my favorites because they're excellent moms. They tend to rear really healthy lambs, and they've got these fantastic personalities. I think the sheep that's most connected to me is a Tarhi wether named Hawking. Everybody on our farm has a name. We choose themes by year so that we know at a quick glance by reading their ear tag how old the sheep is. We also do color coding, males versus females, so that we can see that at a glance too. It's really helpful when you're moving the sheep out in the pasture, because that is where they spend the majority of their lives, with the exception of moms who are having babies. They're in the barn right now. So it's important for us to know who it is, how old they are, and that way it kind of reminds us of their history just at a quick glance reading their ear tag. So this year's theme is national parks. All of our lambs have national park names. Last year was Disney characters. The year before that was early 2000 sitcoms. So if you have ideas of what you would like to see us name the sheep in the future, we do have a few years plotted out, but we're always happy to hear them. So make sure you're following us on Instagram at Mitchell Wool Co. Mitchell Wool Co. on Instagram. Drop us a line and let us know what you think. Comment on our post and share with your friends, because that type of interaction is the best thing that you can do for a small business like us. Other favorite books. This one is out of print. We have 2 copies left. It is an absolute favorite of mine. It's called Feng Crochet. In Michigan, we're known for our Petoskey stones, and there's something that I collect all summer long. So we had Becca, who works for us, make samples, and there's some other really just fantastic, more modern design. We have 2 copies of Feng Crochet left, and it is $15.99. And we're very into our natural dye books, because of course that's what we're all about. A favorite here is Botanical Dyes. We sell this one that's from Babs Behan, and that is a by hand book. It's $23.99, available on the website. Harvesting Color by Rebecca Burgess. This is a great one for the gardeners and foragers. It tells you what plants to find. Another favorite ours, Journeys in Natural Dyeing. This one is $29.99. It's a beautiful hardcover book. And this is one you may have seen before, The Modern Natural Dyer. And that is Christine Behar, and it is a favorite of Cindy's for reference as well. What shall we look at next, huh? Kits. We have quite a few kits, and they're a wonderful way to make a simple, no-brainer project. They're great for gifting. They have everything that you need, including a QR code to buy the pattern directly on Ravelry. And let me just tell you quickly why it is we do that. Rather than selling you the pattern at wholesale, we prefer to give the designer their full credit and link it directly to Ravelry. There's a QR code on the inside of the box where you can go and find the pattern, and that way the designer gets full credit, because frankly, art has value, and knitwear designers don't often get compensated what their work is worth. We have the Great Gingham Hat pattern, which combines one of our Blue Skies ombre, that's a variegated skein, with another darker skein. If you're a brioche knitter, we have the Phylogeny Cowl Kit that's designed by Synaptic Stitches. It was designed for us, a really lovely kit. Comes in blue and green, Preppy, which is pink and green, and natural, which is what you see here. It's the Phylogeny Cowl Kit. You'll find them on the website. This one's a little gobbled up, and that's $146. If you want to plan ahead for Halloween, we have a darling Hocus Pocus hat kit. Oops, sorry, that's upside down. This hat kit is made with a partnership collaboration that we did with Clean Cashmere. And Clean Cashmere is to the cashmere fiber as like we are to wool, in that they're working with small farms, American farms who raise cashmere goats, to provide a sustainable product from them. And we collaborated with them a couple years ago on a line together where we spun our wool along with their cashmere. So it's 75% Cormo, 25% cashmere, and it is the most delicious, luscious yarn in a DK 50-gram skein. It is $50 for a 50-gram skein, which includes 170 yards, and we have it in 3 colors. We have this gorgeous pasture green, pond blue, and natural, which is white with a little bit of a natural grayish brown fleck. That is our United Pastures partnership with Clean Cashmere, 50-gram skeins for $50. Coming over here, if you'd like to try your hand at natural dyeing, we have indigo kits, which are $30, and they include indigo, the fructose that you need, and you can dye fiber or fabric with it. We have an indigo block printing kit for the same cost. And we have a natural dye kit that includes just an assortment of colors. This is a great exploration if you wanted to take muslin fabric and do a little bit of swatching or multi-tonal dye skeins. It's a great way to understand the beginnings of natural dye and honestly the complexity of it, because it is not nearly as beginner friendly as what a chemical dye process would be. Some of our absolute most popular base of yarn is our Tarhi sock with silk. The Tarhi's from our farm, and we blend it with silk because we don't use any petrochemicals. So typically a sock yarn would be blended with nylon. We don't do that. We use silk for strength. That way the socks, at the end of their very, very long life, if they've been handed down for generations, can be fully composted because there's natural stuff in it. This is a 50-gram skein, 250 yards of fingering / sock weight, and it's $36. We have it in many colors. This color is called marigold because it's dyed with marigolds. We have this beautiful Mackinaw green, which is kind of a aged green, like a light, think of avocado from the 70s. This beautiful one is madder, and madder is the root that we get our reds from. So it's kind of a berry color. One of my absolute favorite colors is lac, and lac is a resin from the invasion of a particular tree. I believe it's the logwood tree, but I'm not certain on that. Cindy's the expert dyer, not myself. A gorgeous, gorgeous hue. Blues come from jasmine. We have a gorgeous Carol's Coral. This is named after Cindy and my mom, who passed away in 2009, but her absolute favorite color was coral. So Cindy developed this coral way to honor her, and it's been a really popular one because it kind of goes with everything. This one here is called Barn Kitty, and you can see it's slightly orange. It's named after one of our barn cats, Chris. I'll be honest, we don't know how many barn cats we have. Many of them have names, some don't. We have lots of intermediate residents. It's a rather fluid number because when you have a barn somewhere, it gets posted on a telephone pole of bars where cats frequent, and they just simply show up. We make stitch markers. Cast-on counters were developed for me, or really anyone who knows what it's like to be casting on hundreds and hundreds of stitches and somebody comes along and interrupts you. They're $12, made of American hardwood here on the farm, and they have 4 100s and then the numbers 25, 50, and 75. So it's a 9-piece stitch marker kit. There's a couple fun things in there like the Mitchell wool lambing barn and so forth, and those are a really handy tool. We have our For Flock's Sake kit, and we have kind of a witty, snarky sense of humor. So there's things such as the front and the back, and those are communicated with anatomical drawings of the sheep. I will let you use your imagination on that. There's Ram It, I screwed that up, For Flock's Sake, and things of that nature. So these are a fun one, and these are removable because the purpose of these is to put them into a spot where you have perhaps made a mistake, you've dropped a stitch, you need to come along and fix it later. Those kinds of things where you're going to want more of a removable. These are some gorgeous little rare earth magnet ceramic dishes made by a potter that we really like the work of in Minnesota. It has our different knit patterns and our name. They're $16 and they're hand thrown. They've got a magnet in the bottom so your stitch markers stick to them beautifully. We've got black with cable knitting, your basic stockinette in black, or we have green as well. Fun add-on things that we sell are our on-farm made wooden tools, and they're just kind of our unique ideas of things that we make. This is a favorite of mine. It hangs on the outside of my Sherry sweater bag, and it's the swatch cheater. Yes, I swatch every single time. Yes, I only swatch 1 inch because I am lazy. So I do 1 inch times 4, and to date, knock on wood, hasn't failed me yet. Those are called the swatch cheater, and they are $8. We have another version. This is Eddie, one of our body lambs, and it says, Eddie says you better swatch, and it's another 1 inch keychain. This one's $5. We have fun flair for your project knitting bag. Hotel keys, although because we don't do plastics, we've made them in natural American hardwoods. And this one is For Flock's Sake. It's our ethos. They're $6. We have Bubba, our ram, and it says, I'd knit that. Another one is Long Live the Family Farms. It's an ethos, of course, that we support American farms through the purchasing of our fleeces for our American Fiber yarn line. This is a doodad that I designed. I'm old school when I knit. I buy my patterns on Ravelry, but I print them on paper and toss them into my Sherry sweater bag. And what this is for is it holds your place. So you thread the paper through here and through here, and this will show you just a couple rows of your chart when you're doing color work. And it stays on there really nicely. It fits nice and tight, whether you're using a half sheet of paper or full, 8.5 by 11. They work really great. It's called the Pattern Place Marker, and it is $12. We have our needle gauge ruler, which is kind of an all-in-one tool because it has both centimeters and inches on it, so you can measure your gauge, but you can also measure needles. My eyes aren't what they used to be, so I use this all the time. T-shirts. We are the funny t-shirt people. That's what we're known for, and unfortunately you're gonna see these all backwards, but we have for Flock's Sake and Flock Yeah, which these are actual members of our flock. This is Charlotte, Harriet Tubman, and Lieutenant Dan, our Cormo Ram. So those are 3 Cormos on there. We have for Flock's Sake in black. We have You Gotta Be Knitting Me right here. And That'll Block Out, which is a little tough to see. We have t-shirts and sweatshirts, so you'll find them in the apparel section of our website. I bet that the thing you want to see most from me is our bags. They're rather legendary. The Sherry sweater bag is something that I designed when I was knitting on an airplane, and there were 14 iterations before we got to the one that we sell. And ironically, I only got my own copy of the one that we sell about 5 months ago. Before that, I'd been carrying old versions of the bag, and they were battered but really holding up beautifully. So we have veg stand handles that we put on. This bag is entirely sewn here in the shop. The interior is designed with all of the pocket organization you could possibly need. It'll hold your cabling needle, it'll hold your DPNs, it'll hold your crochet hooks, your row counter, your stitch markers. There's wonderful short little bags for everything, even including Tough Woolen's hand balm stick, which I'm a particular favorite of, so we included that in there. There's this lanyard fob to hold your doodads, your tools, either the ones that we make or the beautiful ones by Katrinkles. Everything has been thought of, including D-rings, where you can add on a crossbody strap at an additional $40. These retail for $200. They're made here on the farm by Christine of cotton and waxed cotton, both sourced from U.S. companies. We have them in many colors. Right now I'm seeing pasture green, hayfield green, black and natural. That's always been a popular one. This is a new orange for us, and I really, really love it. It is marmalade. We have petal pink, perfect for spring. Here's petal pink. We have Blue Moo, as in moo. Blue Moon is a Michigan ice cream. It's in a couple other Midwest states, but it's kind of unique to this region of the Midwest. And it tastes a little like if you combined creamy ice cream with lemon and cherry. It's a strange thing. A little bit like Superman ice cream, but you only find it here in the Midwest. Then we also have Marry Me, because it's the color of that beautiful blue box, and Sunflower Yellow. We also have some other products here that are quite fun. A one-of-a-kind made from Our Sheets leather crossbody bag that Cindy has made. Oops. They're gonna come in the morning and everything's gonna be a big mess. This is our Cindy clutch. This one is called Fish Kisses, and it loops over your hand. You can do strand management, like separating your mohair from your lace weight, or color work. It's great for that, and it's a perfect little like 2 to 3 skein pouch. This is the special edition for the Trails and Valleys Mountaineering Kit, and it's got this wonderful camping print in it. These retail for $78, made here on the farm. We have a cornflower one with ghosts. We have black with a floral interior that's called Aunt Grace. And a few other fun things. Some of the random bags that we make and have here. This is called the Pipsqueak Project Pouch. It's just a really simple, unlined project pouch that's great to toss in a bag, toss in your vacation bag if that's where you're headed for spring break. Those are $65. And then finally, we have the Simple Tote, which is exactly what it says. It's a simple tote bag, lighter weight, twill cotton, made in the USA, perfect for both a handbag and a small project bag.